Okay, and we should have gone live in just a second. Yeah, looks like we're up. Ugh.
Okay. All right. Let me go to... I figured it out. All right. Uh-oh. I want to add another post. I want to post. Well, I almost had it. There we go. Posted. All right. Got it.
We got it.
We got it.
We're live.
We're live.
Wow.
Hello there. So, what do you think? What do you think about that border? Right?
That border's crazy right now.
That border's crazy. Never seen anything like it.
No. I heard someone the other day, he was saying if you wanted to make some money, he's like, you could just fly to Mexico and then find your way to the border, and then they'll just let you in, and they'll take you straight to New York, and they'll feed you, and they'll take care of you.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so we could really tap into that.
I think we could.
It's almost like a scholarship of sorts.
Just forget our passport.
Yeah.
No hablo inglés.
That's the only phrase we need. No hablo.
No hablo.
No hablo.
No hablo.
Some of them, I hear that some of them, I haven't seen any proof of this.
Yeah.
But I've heard that some of them are becoming police officers.
Right. I've heard that. Well, I've heard that it's legal for them to become police officers. But that's wild. If they're gonna come here, put them to work, I guess, right? Let's elect them to office. What are we doing? Don't just have them on the street, with badges. Let's put them in Congress.
That's right.
Because we're woke.
Oh my god, that's hilarious, dude. It's been wild.
Yeah,
it's been wild. I was hearing the other day that Texas actually might secede.
Oh, the secession talk again? I haven't heard that, but I've heard. I haven't heard that term used, but I'm sure it's been floated around for 20 years.
Oh, well, I guess
my whole life, really.
Yeah, that's true.
Under Bill Clinton and then Obama, and now, but since Trump, I haven't heard much talk of secession.
Right. Right.
But that's just me, I guess. But I haven't heard too much, but yeah, it was always on the table. Well, in the population,
right.
In the people's mind, it's always an option. But I've heard talk of conflict, open conflict with the federal government. That's for sure.
Yeah.
At least their agencies and such, which. I don't see why not. If they're going to destroy your state, you might as well lock them out. You might as well keep them keep them from doing whatever deals they got going on here. It's pretty crooked. Seems to be.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah. But you've heard Texas say they're going to secede.
I was hearing that somebody was talking about it, and then I was like, no, I think it's just a crazy border thing.
Right.
And then I thought I ran into an article about it that was like, actually, Texas is saying we might just call it,
wow,
get out of this.
Wow.
But I don't know if they will do that, especially since we're going into the new election year.
Yeah, into the election.
And then maybe depending on how the election turns out, things could worsen there.
Yeah. I would say it definitely. I'd say that's the natural response. If the election doesn't turn out well, then they should consider that. I would say.
Oh, definitely.
Because things have gotten pretty bad.
Yeah.
In a wide, lots of different dimensions, right?
Yeah, it's turning into a mess.
But if things could be salvaged, that would be good. That'd be better.
Yeah, I would say so. Of course, everything I'm hearing is that Trump's in the lead.
Yeah.
Which is, I think is fantastic.
Yeah, for sure.
But of course, we never really know how these things are going to go.
Yeah.
Of course, but
yeah,
hearing that Trump was in the lead, everyone's really wanting Trump back.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
And I like that. I like that sentiment. So
we need more of that sentiment.
Yeah.
But I think there's no lack of it. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's not the problem.
Right. Yeah.
I was telling my wife the other day. I was like, hey, what if all these Democrats, right, just started like working for the election, in these counties, right, that were had a lot of suspicious activity going on. I'm like, what if these lifelong Democrats that are now regretting, leaving the party and whatnot and regretting it, I'm like, what if they just worked for the election, the election pollers and all that as Democrats? And then it's like, well, whenever they tell you to do all these crooked things, it's like you'll be on the inside. You can film everything, you record everything, you can actually get some substantial, just kind of pretend, I guess. And you can really check on what's going on there. And it's like, well, I mean, we couldn't do that, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
But some of these other people could, and just not comply with their orders or with their whatever, their marching orders or what have you.
Right.
All the crooked whatever, whatever they got going on there. They could undo it, so that would be great. I'm sure everyone would appreciate that all over the country,
Yeah, definitely. Holy cow.
But really, I guess that's the biggest question people have going into this. Well, I say people, but I just mean me. Going into this election is like, is the integrity still there? Because I think most people aren't so sure.
Right.
I think a lot of people aren't so sure anymore, and it's like, well, if the Democrats have done such a bad job that their fraudulent structures fall apart, then that would be good,
Yeah.
It's not like we have Biden on tape saying the largest voter fraud in history was committed this election and congratulating his Democratic colleagues. It's not like Kamala Harris and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer were in the room when he said it,
That's crazy.
He's like,
you were telling me about that the other day.
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen that video.
Yeah, you should definitely check it out. He literally says it on camera. He's like, we have the biggest voter fraud network ever, even bigger than Obama, is what he said.
Even bigger than Obama?
And people are like, oh, he misspoke. I'm like, no.
Oh my god.
He didn't misspoke,
Yeah.
He didn't misspeak.
Well, I know we were talking the other day, and I was telling you that just the stuff in New Hampshire.
Yes.
I was like, dude,
super crooked. Super crooked.
I'm like, yeah, there was no voter fraud, but we have Democrats signing up as independents,
Yes.
going in and voting
Under
in
the Republican primary.
in the Republican primary.
Yes, for a flawed
Nikki Haley.
for a flawed candidate that will never win.
Because we all know Republicans who are just dying for Nikki Haley.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like all her major rich backers are, Republican,
Golly.
It's like she has some votes, but the Democrats are voting for Nikki Haley because they want her to be our nominee. And it's like, well, that's super crooked. I mean, is it legal? Well, I guess technically, but it should. But if Republicans were doing that to water down the Democrat, pool,
I can't even imagine.
I can't either. It's like you'd have the FBI barking down your neck, and
absolutely. But do you think we would have if the Republicans did, we'd get together and be like, hey, don't say that we did this on live television.
Yes. Yeah. Well, they don't care. They're like nothing's gonna happen.
They're literally saying what they did and why they did it.
Yep.
Two interviewers. I'm blown away by it.
Blown away. I'm like, if that's not interference, that's at the very least that's interference.
It's got to be.
It's not like, okay, you say, well, it's legal. It's like, yeah, sure, but it's interference.
But that's what I mean. Like if they're doing that,
it's unethical.
If they're doing that in our primaries,
yes.
Then why? Like I feel like that's enough proof for me to go. Maybe they did this back in a previous election.
Maybe.
Just maybe. I don't know. They're doing it in our primaries now.
Yeah. And they may have done it before. We don't know. They say, oh, well, it's not any organized effort. It's like, well, it doesn't have to be, does it?
No. No, it doesn't.
You wouldn't care if it were against you. You wouldn't care if it was organized or not, But
maybe it is disorganized.
Yeah, maybe it is disorganized, but it's like, well, that doesn't make it right.
No.
But I think they're not too concerned with what's right, because if they were, look at the state of things.
Absolutely. Holy cow.
But Nikki Haley needs to drop out. That's one thing DeSantis he dropped out, and he dropped out gracefully, and everyone appreciated that. I appreciated that, and I was like, hey, don't waste your time. Don't waste your people's time. Just I don't know. Figure that out, right? And Nikki Haley isn't doing that. And I'm like, well, she's got tens of millions of dollars coming in to her campaign from rich never Trumpers. And I'm like, don't care. Unmoved. Completely unmoved,
Yeah.
It's like, dude, just call it, please,
That's outrageous.
But who knows? It probably won't end up working. I mean, I don't see how it could work that well. In the past, it probably would have, because people just weren't this worked up, weren't this united, right?
Right.
But I don't think it's gonna amount. I think most Democrats could probably try this, and it just wouldn't matter too much with the turnout that's happening. Of course, that's just my thoughts, but who knows? I hope not. Hope it doesn't work out that well.
Yeah.
It's pretty crooked.
Oh yeah.
Pretty crooked.
Yeah. Crazy messy. Crazy.
But it's pretty wild. It is pretty wild. But who's to say? It's not like, I think people are smart enough to know things were better before,
I would hope so.
Yeah.
But I think that is what we're seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's funny that we took Trump out for 4 years, and now we're gonna put him back in.
Yeah.
And it is kind of funny.
Yeah, it's pretty funny, but that's what's right, because that's what we need, and I think nobody's gonna sell for less.
I heard someone the other day. They were like I think they were debating Ben Shapiro or something, but they were saying how they were worried that Trump was going to initiate a third term.
Oh, right.
And they're like, oh, well, look at how much he's pushing right now. Look at how much he's pushing. And Ben Shapiro, he's trying to tell them he's pushing so hard because he has a precedent to push so hard because he can run again.
Yeah.
And so he's going to try and win.
Yeah.
In this next election. And he's like, oh, but like, look, he might do it again. He might try to go for a third term. And he's like, probably not.
Probably not.
Like Ben Shapiro was actually saying, he's like, he'll probably just stand up and say, I've been the best president.
Right.
I've done a fantastic job.
Right.
And then he'll just be like, I'm done.
Right.
And then call it good. And I'm like, well, yeah, that actually sounds a lot like Trump.
Yeah. Well, that's reasonable. I don't know why people are worried about a third term. It's like, so you're going to cheat? So you're like, cheat. A third term is currently illegal. The law would have to change, right?
Yeah.
It's like, but cheating in an election is illegal. There is no law there's no law to allow for that. So it's like, we're going to, it's crazy. But
dude, that's funny.
If you cheat him out of enough terms, then we'll, be like, yeah, that's fine. We'll take 4 terms of Trump. It just works. It just goes against them every time.
No, absolutely.
For a large, for a lot of the people, it's like, oh well, fine. We're just gonna go the opposite way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like he's not. Who cares? If he. Who cares? America was doing so well. Like, third term would be fine with me. Seriously.
Like, maybe I do want a third term.
Yeah.
Maybe I do.
Yeah, I'm
my gosh.
But that's not the problem. The problem is, the derangement that is happening in our country. Mm-hmm. But,
so silly.
Oh, man.
It's outrageous. It's silly, dude. It's silly.
Yes.
But also, I feel like if you don't let Trump, like, if you want Trump out of politics, maybe just give him his second term.
Yes.
Because I think he'll call it. I think he'll be done.
Oh, of course. I mean, that's the reasonable thing to do.
And I'll love it. Yeah. Really, I think the country will benefit from it. Right. But even if you're just like, I'm just so tired of Trump, I'm like, well then, take away his precedent to run again.
Right.
Vote for him.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah. Vote for him, and then we can be done with it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You get what you want. I get what I want. No more Trump in politics.
Yeah. It's like, fine.
A second term with Trump. Heck term. Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, but that's what we need. We need another, at least. Yeah, we need another term.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's pretty crazy. Well, yeah, he's the best president we've had in a long time. So, well, I don't remember ever being happy with presidents. Nobody was ever happy with presidents. I mean, in my whole life,
Basically, yeah.
People loved Reagan, and I was like, well, that was before we were born. But like, I can imagine they were, but that's one out of, I don't know. How many that have been,
Right.
And I'm just not sure. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Like, we've been pretty disappointed with our leaders.
True.
But yeah, I'm not sure. Did your mic get unplugged?
Did it? Testing. Maybe.
Did it go off?
Yeah, looks like it did. Well, we can see what we can do. This is our first time streaming on
technical difficulties.
Baghead. So
Baghead.
we can see what we can kind of do and reason. Oh, there we go.
There it is.
Reasonably make happen. I don't know if it'll go off again. Probably it'll go off again. But we might have to take an intermission.
Oh.
To fix it, but we can keep going for now.
Yeah, as long as it will allow us our hardware.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Just a couple of Bagheads.
That's right. Just a couple of Bagheads.
I'm Baghead Crease, and he's Baghead Smooth.
That's right.
Is that what it is, or do you have a better?
No, I'm very smooth.
Yeah,
I'm very smooth. So, you know, some of us are just born like that.
Yeah, just smooth, man.
Just smooth. You know, there's no extra skincare.
Yeah.
You know, paper care really. But,
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Smooth as butter.
Smooth.
I'm abrasive like sandpaper.
I think your cousin. You got a cousin who's sandpaper.
I got a cousin who is sandpaper head.
Yeah, sandpaper head.
That guy is rough to be around.
He's really rough.
He'll smooth you out.
Yeah, he's just a few grit.
Yeah. He's just like he's very low on the grit scale.
He's super low on the grit scale.
So he'll rough you up.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Stay away from that guy. You don't want to be rubbed the wrong way.
Yeah, and he will. He will.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh man, gosh. Dude, that's funny.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, we value anonymity here. Internet's a dangerous place. It's not for the internet. We're not afraid of the internet.
You want to bring it on?
Yeah,
bring it on.
It's our families.
Dude, that's hilarious. That's hilarious, and that is far more true.
Far more.
Yeah, is it strangers on the internet?
No,
who cares, man?
No,
but family?
Ooh.
No, dude.
Run.
Give me a break. Give me a break. Holy cow.
Anyway, if anyone can relate, let us know in the comments. The comments.
Oh my gosh. So why are we doing? Why are we doing Baghead podcast? What do we want to talk about on Baghead podcast? I know.
Baghead podcast.
Yeah. Give us like a summary of like.
We want the world to watch as we descend into madness.
Clip that.
No, I don't know. Current issues, current affairs, life advice, life experience, all that kind of. That's what comes to my mind.
Yeah.
Young people issues.
Yep. Definitely.
Growing up in our society. The disenfranchised majority, as I call it.
The disenfranchised majority? Oh my gosh. We need shirts. We need shirts that say the disenfranchised majority.
Hey,
that's pretty funny.
That is good.
Yeah.
That is, yeah. We might do that.
Yeah.
We might work on that.
Yeah, we might.
We might work on that. But yeah, it's and whoever, whatever. So that's the immediate thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, that goes along with what I was thinking too. A little bit of politics.
A little bit.
Life advice.
Right.
Creativity.
Oh yeah.
Art. I think we'll probably talk about that on the podcast. I really feel like that's gonna probably be our sphere of what we kind of want to talk about here.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I feel like I've found that I'm far more artistic than what I've ever even wanted to be.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just like in the head.
Okay.
Yeah. Rather than being like, I don't know. I guess the word that comes to mind is like practically minded.
Okay.
but that's not really.
You're more artistic than practical.
Yeah, I would say so.
I
Yeah.
got you.
Mm-hmm.
I got you. Yep. I'm kind of a hybrid, I guess.
Yeah, I would say so.
Kind of a hybrid. Like, I love to be effective,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes I just throw it all away and create.
Yeah. I feel like I strive to be effective,
Right.
and efficient, and I prefer that.
Right.
I find a lot of value in that, but I'm striving for it.
Oh,
Whereas I feel
it's an effort.
I feel like I had to put a lot into it.
Okay.
But
okay.
Creatively, I feel like I can kind of tap into that as long as the room is right. I don't know, the atmosphere's right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I got you. Your brain chemistry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brain chemistry. Yeah, not having like a meltdown of some sort. Absolutely. Turns out meltdowns are pretty bad for creativity.
Oh yeah, definitely. You gotta have, secure mind.
That's what you really need to be worried about in the middle of a breakdown, though, is your creativity.
Right.
You're like, oh man, I'm just not creative enough right now. Because I'm going through such a hard time.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That's the number one thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Number one thing to be concerned about. That's funny.
Yep. Nope. You gotta do supplements. It's all about the supplements, right?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much better you feel if you can get your supplements right.
Yeah. Yep. It really is. It's been a great, the health journey bleeds into mental health, physical health, same, it all bleeds together. The supplements really help, getting the right supplements.
Right.
And anybody who goes on this like supplement journey, it's like a lot of people don't like it because it's like, well, it's too much. It's like, well, you're right, it is.
Mm-hmm.
It just is. And especially at first you're like, oh, it's just a few, and then like you start realizing you're deficient in a bunch of things. But it can be overwhelming, but it's like, just take it slow, take it slow, and you'll make it. But sometimes it's the little things. A good multivitamin helps a lot. Vitamin B helps a lot.
Vitamin B, crazy.
If you have like chronic depression, take a bunch of vitamin B.
Mm-hmm.
Really helps you. Helps a lot to pull you out of that. But yeah, there's a whole bunch.
Mm-hmm.
But we have a lot of experience with not just vitamins and minerals, but like herbs as well, homeopathic remedies, things like that. And of course, it's not like a cure-all for everything all the time.
Right.
But
Definitely.
The average person would be very surprised to know how much of their chronic illness can be solved with the appropriate vitamin, mineral, etc.
Yeah.
It's been pretty great, pretty amazing for us. But
Definitely. That and just a couple of food changes.
Right, dietary changes.
Yeah. Getting away from dyes.
Yeah.
Dyes are huge.
Yeah.
And if you can get away from dyes, like if you have mood issues,
Yeah.
and you stop taking dyes,
Yeah.
just the dyes.
Yeah.
Stay away from like the red dyes, yellow, all the dyes. Because a lot of people say
dye.
red 40,
Yes.
right? That's
Yeah.
the big one. That's like, oh, don't do red 40.
Yeah.
But if you're having mood issues, it's all of them.
It really is.
It's just all the dyes.
Yeah. Focus, ADHD, bipolar, affective or seasonal affective disorder. It's like dyes cause inflammation, all over your body, but in the brain, just really hurts your moods. And it's awful. It's been it's pretty bad. But when you avoid dyes, you're like cutting out a huge portion of the modern diet.
I guess so.
Anything,
I think
almost anything sold in a wrapper has dyes in it. You know?
Yeah. I think a lot of it's candy.
A lot of candy.
I think it's a lot. It's like all candy.
It's almost every
Have you looked
colors.
at like the candy that you eat right now? Because I was thinking about like what candies do I allow myself to eat, and it's just one candy.
I don't buy candy anymore.
Well, you still buy like
Oh yeah.
it's
Like
the same
chocolate.
thing. Chocolate. That's
Yeah,
it.
that's
and
it.
it's dark chocolate.
It's dark chocolate. Yeah.
You can't do really anything else.
Yeah, we don't do milk chocolate. Oh yeah, we don't do milk chocolate.
Can't do milk chocolate.
No.
But I was thinking about it the other day.
Yeah,
Somebody
but
had
other than
like
that, I don't buy any candy.
yeah. Somebody had like gummy worms and stuff the other day, and I'm
Right.
like, oh, it's just gelatin and dyes.
Yep, it is. I used to eat every kind of candy you could ever imagine. I used to be such a candy hound. I mean,
Yeah.
when I was a kid, teenager, young adult, I would see a new candy bar, I would always buy one.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I had never tried it, I was always buying new stuff.
Absolutely.
Buying it till I was like in my mid-20s, before I really got, started recognizing some food sensitivities I had and exploring that. But yeah, I used to buy candy all the time, but I don't eat any of that stuff anymore.
No.
I don't even miss it. I mean, it made me feel like
Not really.
It made me feel like crap,
Mm-hmm.
and I get that those things are a coping mechanism.
Yes.
I totally understand that.
Absolutely.
I'm not dogging on anybody who needs that stuff to get by. I totally understand, but it's like I don't miss it at all. I don't. I don't miss buying it. And when you eat it, if you haven't eaten it for a long time, and then you eat some of that stuff, it just tastes like chemicals. It tastes like
Yes.
It tastes like plastic sometimes. It tastes like the wrap, like what you would imagine the wrapper would taste like. Like I remember I used to be a Reese's hound. Everything Reese's all the time. And there was a point at which I remember like the last Reese's I ever had, gosh, I don't know, like 8 years ago, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I bought it and I tried it, or I ate it, and I'm like, this just like isn't good. Like it's just not good.
Yeah.
And I was like, why would I do this? Like I know I'm gonna feel like crap. The only reason I used to tolerate it was because it makes you feel good or whatever, right? Tastes great.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, I remember eating it and I was like, this tastes bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't need it anymore. And so I just
Right.
threw it away, and that was the last Reese's I ever bought.
Wow.
And I was like, it just made me feel like it just tasted bad. And I'm like, well, if it tastes bad, why would I don't need it.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I don't need it. And that was like the last piece of candy I bought for, I don't know, just the last Reese's I ever bought with, but I don't know, I don't know what other candies I used to eat, but yeah, I mean, now it's just dark chocolate.
It's just dark chocolate. I mean, it's great though.
Yeah.
It's a nice little sweet treat.
Yeah, it's good every time.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
I know it's not gonna make me, freak out, lose focus, be unproductive, or make me, put me on a low.
Yeah.
It's not gonna do that. So
Absolutely.
and it actually helps me focus because dark chocolate helps with like ADHD and stuff like that.
Oh, gotcha.
So,
okay. I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, it has beneficial mental effect, cognitive effects,
Gotcha.
and stuff like that. The right kind. I mean, obviously, I'm sure you can't just buy any dark chocolate because it's probably got as much wax as it does chocolate in it.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, we you just gotta find. But when you're careful about what you eat, you just gotta find good, trusted brands, trusted stores that carry those brands. And I think a lot of people, it's crazy overwhelming, and I definitely I can't blame them. It's like our lives are better because we've cut a lot of these preservatives and dyes out, but
Right.
I definitely don't blame people because it's just such a, I guess in one word, nuance, but it's so there's so many intricate like details. There's so many ingredients that are just not good for our bodies.
Right.
Every one of them has an effect, and over time those effects compound. So the older you get, and the like, let's say your diet stays the same for 30 years. Well, if it has bad stuff in it, you're going to be worse off in those 30 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then you're going to tolerate it actually worse than before, and so but you're not going to change, and so most people don't change, right?
Right.
And so it's like the older you get, the more your diet impacts your life because you've been eating it longer. Those chemicals and stuff, they store up in your body, and your body, you don't get rid of it. Like, it just stays. And your cells start to malfunction. They start to get bogged down. They start to get damaged, and then that's when we have chronic illness, chronic fatigue, brain fog, all kinds of stuff,
Right.
And I have lots of working theories, but yeah, it's like, I don't know. We decided to do that. It's been it's been very difficult. You gotta a lot of things you just gotta make yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you can't make it, if you can't buy it, you gotta make it. And like donuts, like we don't buy donuts, we make donuts.
Right.
And they're amazing.
So good.
It's better than any donut
Absolutely
you can buy.
life-changing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's so good. And like, it's crazy how much better it is made at home.
Oh yeah.
And but we don't buy like normal flour. We buy like unenriched, or it's like
Unbleached.
Unbleached. Yeah,
Unbleached.
it's unbleached flour.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It tastes great. Everything you make with it tastes like several steps better than if you were to use white flour or just like bleached flour or enriched flour, and it's just so much better.
Yeah.
But you have to be careful, because when you cut all these foods out of your diet, there's a lot of chemicals that you're not eating, but there's also some nutrients that you're not eating.
Okay.
And so like vitamin B is a big one when you cut dairy out, and when you cut out enriched flour and dairy, they're packing these full of vitamin B. Like, dairy has a lot of vitamin B.
Okay.
So if you don't eat any dairy and you don't eat any enriched flour and things like that, then you're going to have vitamin B deficiency almost certainly.
Gotcha.
And that's going to cause depression and grumpiness and mood disorders, and it's really bad for kids. If you don't eat dairy, or you can't eat dairy, or like no cheese, no milk, no nothing, you really need a vitamin B, like a spectrum of vitamin Bs for you and your kids, because kids without vitamin B throw fits, cry all the time, no reason, they just start crying, and that's very frustrating for parents. But they need vitamin B. When you give them vitamin B, it can completely change the kid, because they're depressed. When kids are depressed, they just cry all the time, over nothing too. And it's like, well, that can be very frustrating, and it can hurt your relationship with the kid if it happens over a long period of time. And it just gives them a negative parental experience, and it gives you a negative, child rearing experience, so it's not good for either. But I highly recommend B vitamins if you don't eat dairy, or you don't eat a lot of dairy, whatever the case may be. We don't eat any dairy at all. But that's because of the chemicals in it, and so, but because of that, we got to take B vitamins, and we got to give it to the kids as well.
Absolutely. But the other day we had, what was that milk? That milk that we tried.
Yeah, unprocessed milk. It was like it was.
That was crazy. That was the best milk I've ever had in my life.
Unseparated. So basically, it was like vat. It was. I can't remember what they call it. Vat pasteurized. But it was like low. It was like, I don't know. It's basically a different process, and they don't add a lot of the chemicals and stuff that separates it. Still had the cream in it.
It was so good.
It's amazing.
It's real milk.
It's
like,
real.
You try that,
yeah.
and you realize that all the milk that you've been drinking has just been water.
It's just water.
Like, even just whole milk. Whole milk. It's like, this is water.
It tastes like water.
It's weird.
Yeah, but milk with the cream in it.
So good.
It's yellow, and it's delicious.
Yeah.
I mean, it's creamy goodness.
Oh gosh. It's so good.
But
Highly recommend
but
it.
yeah, we don't. I guess we don't drink a lot. Even that kind of milk, we don't really
Yeah.
drink a lot. But
Yeah.
but yeah, you have to be. A lot of people are doing raw milk now, but you have to. You can only buy it from certain farms.
Right. The other milk you can get at like a health food store.
Yeah. That pasteurized you can find at like health food stores. It's a lot more expensive, so you have to be careful.
But the unbleached
flour you can buy at Walmart.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, you just get that at Walmart. There's quite a few stuff.
Yeah.
Where I mean, you guys are just shopping at Walmart and Aldi's.
Yeah.
That's like the
Aldi,
bulk
Walmart.
of
Yeah, that's it.
where you guys shop.
Yep.
I think the only health food store stuff that I think of is that milk.
Yep.
That we wanted to try, and
Yeah,
but that was the only thing that we had to go out of our way to try and get.
Yeah.
Whereas everything else,
Yeah.
it's out there. It's
is.
right next to the other stuff, and most of the time it's not more expensive. We definitely are not spending more on food.
No. Well, no.
than
No.
Holy cow!
If we like, it's more.
That's
than,
not our lifestyle.
No. Definitely not. We don't have the extra change.
No, we don't.
Some things are more expensive. Like when you stop buying cooking oils are dirt cheap.
Right.
They're dirt cheap. But when you don't buy any cooking oils and you only buy like olive oils or whether it's extra virgin or whatever, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot more. That's a lot more expensive. But I mean, we've talked about cooking oils before, but like it's so bad. It's like and you don't feel it necessarily. Like if you eat something out of whatever cooking oil, canola oil, pan oil, whatever that is, right? It's like you don't feel it, but your body can't use it. Your body, it's destroying things, and you feel that over time. You don't feel it immediately like you would with a dye or with another type of preservative. Like you can feel that pretty quick. Especially when you haven't eaten them, and then you eat them, and then it's like, oh, well, it causes like all this inflammation everywhere. And you can kind of feel that in your head and different mood issues and all that. But cooking oils, we cut out cooking oils. That was one of the first things we cut out because when you learn how it's made, it's like it's really not any different. It's not that much different than what they put in cars. And I'm like, we're using these oils, and our body can't. The molecules are changed so that your body, it's confusing your cell, and it's actually confusing. It's destroying the worst part of the cell that it can, which is the growth. The growth center, the mitochondria or whatever that is. And maybe I'm saying that wrong, but
the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell.
The powerhouse of the cell.
That's
it's
crazy.
Destroying it, and so what happens is when those cells go crazy, they reproduce, which causes tumors. And so it's like your body is killing.
Shoot.
Your body's job is to kill those cells no matter what.
Okay.
But if the cell is concealed, protected, if it's a sensitive part of the body where the body it can cause all these issues, and the body may not be able. Your immune system may be compromised, and the cell may conceal itself, and then you have a tumor. And it's like the cooking oil causes things like that to happen all the time, and that's why it makes you tired. It's because your body's fighting itself. If the molecules, if your cells are eating them, and then it's breaking down, and it's like not it stops, it malfunctions, right? Then your body has to kill that, and it has to get it out of there. And if it can't do that, then it reproduces like the right kind of issues are caused. Then you have a perfect storm for, say, like a tumor, a cancer, things like that, and you get tired, right? And let's assume that your body does kill it. Well, you're going to be exhausted. You're going to be fatigued because your cells are dying, and your body has to replace them. That consumes a ton of energy to replace that stuff. And most of the time they don't get replaced. They just get damaged. So the cell, because cells really only get replaced when you do prolonged fasting, autophagy, and I forget what the other. There's another term, but It's, autophagy where your cells kill damaged cells and then takes the parts up to, and then it makes them into stem cells.
Okay.
And then the stem cells get distributed throughout the body to replace the old cells. But if you're not fasting at all, you know what I mean? And so it's like, well, on the modern diet, it's like we're really not even eating food because McDonald's doesn't go bad.
Oh, yeah, that's crazy.
So it's like not real meat, not real anything. The bread doesn't go bad, the cheese doesn't go bad, the ham, it's like that's crazy.
Yeah,
and it's all cooked in carcinogen seed oils and things like that. And so it's like, anyway, what was I saying? I was saying it's expensive to stop using cooking oil.
yeah, that's
but worth it in the long run. Worth it for us because we don't really have to worry about those types of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a big pill to swallow. No pun intended.
I guess that makes sense. The olive oil, which is really the replacement.
It's the sensible replacement.
You can do avocado.
You can do avocado oil.
I hear that you can.
And people will say, oh, it's not real. It's not real. It's like, well, okay, I understand that olive oil is not always 100%. And,
right.
Sometimes they say, well, it has to be 50. It's like, okay. Sometimes, but if it's 50%, at least it's not 100% a seed oil.
Right, yeah.
Because, I'm not going to replace it with something that's 100% destructive.
That's a good point.
For my body.
That's a really good point.
Peanut oils and canola oils and all that. It's like...
Because it gets really expensive to try and get 100% olive oil. That does get really expensive.
It gets very expensive. The extra virgin is really what you have to do. But the extra virgin has a very bitter taste.
Right.
And so it's not good for everything all the time. And that's assuming you do have the budget for it, right?
Right, yeah.
But olive oil is a sensible replacement for seed oils. It is more expensive, but you can always use less, and you don't need it, you can get a little spray thing, and you know what I mean? You can just use a little less and it'll last, But anyway, that's what we do. That was a meaningful, it was for us. It's worth the trade off,
right?
Because like I said, oils are just wreak havoc on your body, and you're not sure where it's gonna harm you either,
right? So
it's like, I don't know. It's just worth it to us to do that, and other things like I guess the flour's a little bit more, but it's not it's not that much more. No, the flour is negligible. Yeah. It's absolutely negligible. And most of it turns out to be not much more, especially if you shop at Aldi's great, because they have lots of sensible options, and they're not, you don't have to break the bank, Yeah. To do it. It's really hard to find things at Walmart for reasonable if you're dodging preservatives and dyes and things like that, but they do have some. There's just temptation everywhere. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, there's a whole aisle of chips. Yeah, Oh my goodness, yeah, there's a whole aisle of chips. So, but I really don't miss much of that food anymore. I think sometimes I miss Takis. Oh yeah, do you like Takis? I had Takis a few times. Wasn't my thing. I think I got really into Takis there for a while. I think a lot of people did. Yeah. And but it's better to just go without it. You're right. You get some tortilla chips. Yeah. And you can get some, melt some cheese over it. Or I can melt some cheese over it. Right. Yeah, you can. Not everyone can do cheese. Yes. But I'll put some cheese over it. I'm like, you know what, this is good. Yeah. And you don't feel like when you're eating a Taki, you feel like the whole thing's a chemical. Yes. Just the whole thing. It is. I'm sure it is. It's just a solid preservative. Yeah, it's just a preservative. It's like stretched and shaped and
Oh my gosh,
and
they have like
powdered.
leftover preservative, and they're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
What do we do with this?
it's a byproduct from oil. It's a petroleum byproduct.
It's
It's like shake this into a chip and puff it up. Right now.
Oh my!
I mean it. Sell it at a premium. I want this petroleum sludge in a bag with colors.
This petroleum sludge.
I want every Gen Zer. I want them to love this. I want them to buy this. I want all of them to be obsessed with this. And if you don't do it, you're fired.
I wanted to be obsessed with this. Oh my gosh, dude! Speaking of obsessed, like the Stanley Cups.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
My wife was saying they have lead in them.
they have lead in them.
In the bottom, they have
You're
lead.
kidding.
Yeah.
This is hilarious.
I'm like, we're back to like the Roman days whenever they were drinking lead, like wine out of lead. I'm like, only the rich, like the upper class Romans would like go crazy because of lead poisoning.
Dude,
And I'm like, we're literally back there. Like, we're literally doing this again.
this is insane. This is
I'm like,
insane.
all these upper middle class housewives are going crazy because there's lead,
Dude, that is
lead in
so
their Stanley
funny.
Cup.
I heard someone the other day. They're like, "I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna buy a Stanley Cup." And I was
Oh
like,
my gosh.
"Give in.
That's embarrassing.
Just do it. Just give in. That's what they want you to do."
Yeah, it's like, why would you broadcast that? It's
Honestly,
freaking embarrassing.
Honestly, it's just showing.
If you're resisting it, just
It's just showing.
yeah,
You know?
vanity. Yeah,
I can't believe it's showing who's gonna give in.
yeah.
If you have a Stanley Cup, you gave in.
You gave in.
You gave in.
Sorry.
I don't know what to tell you.
No hate.
We don't hate you.
We don't hate you.
We don't hate you, but you did give in. You gave in to a fad. You gave in to drinking lead.
Drinking.
They peer pressured you into drinking lead, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, yeah. And she's okay. She was talking about it like she had to. I need a new cup, and I think I'm gonna get a Stanley. I think I'm gonna do it.
Right.
I think I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I gotta do it. And I'm like, you want a Stanley?
Yeah.
You want a Stanley like everyone else?
Yeah, I'd be made to.
No one's making you get a Stanley.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just pressure.
Literally. You gotta be kidding me. Or like that story. There's that reel.
Yeah.
Is it a reel of the mom and her daughter being bullied or something?
Oh yes,
Stanley?
I saw that.
Yeah.
And she was like, "I don't want a Stanley Cup, but I'm gonna buy one because I don't want my daughter to get it." And I remember watching that, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" Like, I'm like, if it's my kid, because they used to go to public school, I'm like, well, if it's my kid, I think I'm still not buying it. But the reason is not because I hate my child. That's not the implication. The implication is, if I buy the Stanley Cup, and let's say it's something else, say it's a Nike sweatshirt, or it's like whatever the fad is, the fad shoes,
the thing that you have to not be bullied.
Yeah, to not be bullied.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I buy it, I'm coloring my daughter as part of the pack, and I'm telling her, fit in. It's okay, just fit in.
Gosh.
Because like if I don't buy it, I'm like, oh, I could literally care less what your classmates think. Not like for her sake, you know what I mean? That'd be the only reason I care. But like personally, I'm like, well, I could care less what your classmates think or their parents. Because here's the thing, and this is what kills me. If one person they go out and they buy it for vanity's sake, they're the first ones. They bully everyone else. Then 10 different parents think the same thing. Oh, my daughter or my son got bullied or like a comment or something, and now I wasn't in the pack or whatever, but now I'm gonna go buy it so that they don't get a mean comment anymore. And I'm like, so we're compounding the vanity issue in our children. So our children are saying, okay, well, it's important to fit in so that we don't have to suffer through the peer pressure, because that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's pressure, and it comes off in mean or snide comments or laughing or mocking or poking fun. And I'm like, so this person, innocent intentions, was like, oh well, I don't want my daughter to get poked fun at, so I'm just gonna comply.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how mob rule happens. This is how people learn to turn their brain off. But if you think critically, you're like, hey, I don't care how vain this original individual was or their parents were. I don't care how weak-willed or that the rest of the parents were. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
We are actually, I think I'm just going to take a stand and be like, hey, my daughter doesn't need a Stanley Cup to be cool. And if anyone accepts you, like if anyone's on your side, if anyone is friends with you without a Stanley Cup,
mm-hmm.
they can be your friend. Like they're real friends.
Right.
If people are going to reject you because you don't have the newest sneakers, because you don't have the new backpack, and that happened all the time.
Oh, yeah.
They're not worth being friends with. I don't want you to get bullied. I don't want you to take it hard. But they're not worth being friends with.
Right. Yeah.
Did we lose our feed?
Oh, looks like our camera went out. Hey, let me check this out, okay?
Oh. We'll get it back
seems
on.
like people can still hear us, so.
We'll get it back on. But yeah, it's like, why would we comply and be sheeple just because some of the kids, it's like we're giving the bullies so much power to dictate what all the other parents are doing. And I'm like, maybe not. Maybe I'm not going to do that. And maybe we should stand our ground against this kind of I don't know, corporate vanity, really, because that's what it is. It's a corporate type of vanity where we just blindly follow. It's okay to have nice things. It's not okay to bully other people because you have nice things and they don't. And why would we reinforce that? We should never be reinforcing that. And that's just not that's not what we need to do. And I think a lot of people would be better off if some of us would just stand our ground and say no more. No, I don't. I think it stops with me. I think it stops with my kiddos. I don't want them to suffer, but I can teach them that suffering is not always bad, and fitting in isn't always good. Fitting in is not always good, and suffering for the right causes is not always bad. It's not. It's a part of life. And one thing that's like society says, like, we need more people to stand up for what's right. And then we give in on the smallest of occasions. We give in on the smallest of things. It's like, but if I stand up for what's right for my kids, even though my kids might whatever, and I assume that they're going to agree with whatever the parents say. So if the parents say none of that, the kids are going to be fine, and it's like, if more of us will stand up for the little things, then we would actually have a better society overall. And it's like, well, I don't want to cheat my kids out of lifelong friendships by giving in on all these, making all these small concessions to the vanity of the masses, like that's just not right. And anybody who sticks around then is going to be a real friend that appreciates them for who they are, not because of the newest backpack, the newest pencils, the newest crayons. I remember
right.
we used to buy cheap crayons while we're poor, and so
right.
we bought these cheap crayons, and I remember my wife felt bad. She's like, oh, I don't want the kids to get, they look at these crayons and they bully them. And I'm like, are you joking? I'm like, how many parents pay 3 and 4 times as much for the expensive crayons who are in the same position we are, can barely afford life? And how many of these parents just buy the nice crayons because they're afraid of what people will think? And I'm like, as someone who's been bullied, I'm like, it's okay to be bullied. Not like too much. There's always a too, but it's okay to be bullied over the little things. But I'm like, why would we Why would we give in? Even to that, I'm like, aren't we giving in to the bullies, to the worst society has to offer?
Right. Yeah.
Because we're going to give in. We're going to give in to the persecution of a few. Everybody is, and I'm like, I put myself in like 5 other dads' shoes, and I'm like, so if I'm a poor dad who works full time, and struggling, am I gonna buy the expensive crayons? It's a small concession. It's a small concession, right? It's a very, very small. I'm like, how many of these moms and dads do this just to fit in?
Right.
And I'm like, do we really care that much? I'm like, do we? And I was like, I don't want to be a jerk, and it's like, I don't want my kids to suffer, but at the same time, I have to take a stand for something.
Right.
For something. And if my kids are willing to take that stand with me, excellent. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, hey kids, do you need the nice crayons? Do people really make fun of you? Do people? It's like, well, it's not a problem. It's like, okay, that's your answer.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely.
Is it important to you that nobody ever says mean things, or that oh no, I got my people, and they got your back? Yeah, they got my back, and you got their back. Yeah, okay, friends. You know what I'm saying? Like,
just actually having friends.
Yeah, just actually. It's like, well, who cares what the top of the class, the favorite kids, the teachers? Who cares what they think? Who cares what their parents think?
Yeah.
They can have all the Stanley Cups they want. They got $80 to burn, right?
Yeah.
I don't.
Absolutely. Holy cow.
Me and 6 other parents don't, and yet some of them are gonna do it anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know, dude. It's just
well, I mean, like, we can't. You got to grow out of that.
Yes.
At some point.
To be an individual.
Yeah. And if you don't, it's better to grow out of it early. Even if that does mean you go through.
It's better to never have it, right?
Well, yeah.
To never, the compulsion to fit in, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's important to fit in to a certain degree, but not to sacrifice.
Not like that.
Your means, to do so.
Well, it's like even something that we're talking about, right? Where it's like, you need a cup.
Yes.
You probably need a cup.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
And it would be strange to not have a cup. Not
have any cup.
Or crayons or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Or for it to have to be a specific brand in order for you to fit in.
Yes.
That's outrageous.
Well, it's actually a character flaw, but maybe that, no hate, but like, it's actually a character flaw. It's a character flaw for me to need you to have a certain brand of thing for me to be happy with you.
Absolutely.
It's a character flaw on my part.
Yeah.
And it's a character flaw on the recipient's part, on your part, to need a certain type of thing in order to be secure in my acceptance of you.
Right. Yeah.
That's a character flaw. So I don't want these things compound on each other. They're learned behaviors. And if I teach my kids, hey, you don't need the nicest shoes for people to be nice to you. People should be nice to you anyway. And in fact, like, you'll meet better quality people going on the low end of things than the high end because the high end of things
this is very true.
Is dependent on what you have. They are only happy with you based on what you can provide, right?
Yeah.
What you can earn, right? I'm like, but on the low end of things, people, you just accept them for who they are, and it's the relationship's contingent upon that.
Yes.
Nothing else. It's like, well, that's that's quality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you don't need the nicest things.
No.
And by appealing to those things, you are attracting those things. So by appealing to vanity, I'm attracting vanity. So if I just concede, if I make all these concessions, not that you can't have nice things, it's that if I make the concessions to appeal to these people, that's who I'm going to attract, and that's my life's going to be full of that.
Right.
And the priorities they represent or that they have. And it's like, well, that's going to shape the outcome of my decisions. And it's like, well, if I don't need that stuff, then the people I have around me can be whoever they are.
Yeah.
And they can be accepted or rejected on those grounds, not, You know, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I could say it 1,000 different ways, but vanity is wrong. You know. No hate. No hate. No judgment.
Dude, that's funny.
Vanity, wrong. Now, I could turn around and profit off of vanity. I could sell a vain product and be fine with that.
Dude, that's funny.
Watch, like, turn around and we sell Stanley Cups.
We should sell Stanley Cups! We should absolutely sell Stanley Cups!
Yeah, it's like, well, you know, I'm not vain, but if I profit from vanity, is it wrong? I don't know.
Dude, that's funny.
Capitalism. Capitalism at work, I guess.
Capitalism at work.
No.
That's so funny.
Make a, you know, yeah, as a business scheme, it's ingenious, right? Because you're appealing to something people will pay for, vanity, as selling a product at a premium.
Yeah.
I'm like, so yeah, it's smart. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like.
But it's the heart behind it.
Yeah, it's like your heart in purchasing.
Do I actually care whether it's a Stanley Cup or not? Yeah. No, I what bothers me is the peer pressuring that's going on with it, where it's like you need to have that in order to establish some sort of what's the word? Word totally lost me. But you need it to establish some sort of stature. That's it.
Status.
Yeah, status.
Yeah.
And that's what bothers me entirely. And that it was happening. It's happening to kids now.
Yes.
In their schools.
Yeah.
And the Stanley Cup is just a thing.
Yeah.
It's just a thing that they're doing it with. You know, this kind of just happens.
Yeah.
But that's why we're saying I'm not mad at the thing. I'm upset at the heart of it. You know, the vanity. Yes. Like in the heart. You know, that is being given to kids first of all.
Yeah, being presented to them.
Yeah.
As right.
But it is older people who are teaching them to do this.
Yes.
It's their parents.
Yeah.
Who are buying them Stanley Cups and then telling them how great of a cup it is, and then they're going out and judging people based on it.
Yes.
You know, and they're acting out this status symbol of the Stanley Cup. And it's like, holy cow. It's like, this is outrageous.
Yeah.
It's like, have a real heart. Be a real person.
Right. Well, it's very hard to be an individual when you follow the crowd compulsively.
Oh, yeah.
And to be accepted is to represent the priorities of the majority, right? And it's like, well, to be a creative person, you actually have to be on the fringes because you can't be to fit in pathologically is to be closed. You can't be too creative because society rejects creative people individually, but they love it whenever they're at a distance. So it's like, you know, create a movie, a great movie. It's like, well, people will love it, right? And it'll be popular to like it. And it's like, but create a painting and people will love it. But when they individually, the masses reject creative individuals. And but to be creative is to be, in a sense, rejected personally a lot of the time.
Right.
Is to suffer a large degree of rejection. It's the same thing with very, very smart people. People don't want to know smart people.
No.
They reject you individually and personally, but they appreciate you on a stage. You know, you know. Some other capacity at a distance, they love it, and everybody wants to be like you, but individually they're not. And you know, it's just so interesting. You know, it's such a kind of a two-faced dynamic there. But it's the way people have always been. You know, it's like, well, I could be like that.
Well, I think the majority liking smart people. This is very interesting, but it's like the majority has to agree that you're smart.
Right.
And then the majority likes you.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But you could be smart and the majority might disagree with you and they'll hate you.
Yes.
They'll absolutely despise you.
Yes, absolutely.
So it is contingent on that. Oh, as far as like your whether you're liked or not.
Right.
Not whether you're smart.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
But whether you're accepted, you have to break past. I think of Elon Musk.
Yep.
And he's liked by a lot of people.
Yep.
He's disliked by a lot of people, but he has a pretty big group of people.
Yep.
who think he's pretty
huge
smart.
following.
Yeah.
Huge following.
And there's a lot of other people like that.
Yes.
Who it's like they're smart, and a lot of people are agreeing that they're smart.
Yes.
And so then the majority looks at them and goes, "Oh, you're smart."
Yep.
But there's plenty of people who are smart.
Yeah.
And the majority just hasn't come to a consensus on it.
Yes.
And so we don't really like them. And that's how it is. And that's how it is in that early time too.
Yeah.
I'm sure that Elon went through that, where people were like, "There's not a consensus on whether you're smart or not, and so we don't actually like you." I guarantee you. We'd have to look back, but I'm sure we could even find it.
Right.
But I even think of Jordan Peterson. He's a great one. It was like he was standing up for these rights in Canada, right?
Right.
And but we really didn't know who he was, or what he stood for. Mm-hmm. And he was saying some very intellectual things.
Well,
and if you agreed on a stance, then you liked him.
Yeah, but he was smart. And if you didn't, he was dumb.
But he's coming out to be an extreme intellectual to the point where it's like, well, everyone knows Jordan Peterson's smart.
Right.
It's like we all agree that he's smart, but we might disagree with him. Whereas it wasn't so.
Yeah.
And that's very interesting.
Yeah, for sure. We may need to take an intermission real quick.
Yep.
And then we can upload some more later.
Yep. That sounds good.
If you guys don't mind.
Well, this was the first Baghead.
First Baghead podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed.
Yeah.
Follow us if you want.
Yeah, we're going to be doing more podcasts, talking about more.
Yeah.
Okay. We're signing off.